supply chain attacks, espionage, and Russian hackers. Oh my! What's up, everyone, and welcome. In this episode, we are going to talk about supply chain attacks, Russian hackers, and espionage. As usual, we'll walk through the story and see what we can learn from it. We will then take a look at how this affects us and what we can do to protect ourselves from these types of attacks.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
The Solarwinds Attackers, an advanced persistent threat known as Nobelium, have started a new wave of supply chain intrusions, this time using the technology reseller and service provider community to attack their targets. The activity has affected victims in North America and Europe thus far, and the goal is espionage. Nobelium has been linked to the Russian government's foreign intelligence service known as SVR. According to an analysis from Mandiant and Microsoft, Nobellium isn't exploiting a vulnerability, or, as was the case with Solarwinds, trojanizing legitimate code. Instead, it's infiltrating reseller networks using tried and true tactics like credential-stuffing and phishing, as well as API abuse and token theft, in order to gather legitimate account credentials and privilege access to reseller networks. From there, Nobelium attempts to pivot and land inside the networks of reseller customers downstream. Once inside a reseller network, it becomes much easier to impersonate the company and exploit the trusted relationship that the reseller has with its customers, researchers pointed out. Mandiant has investigated multiple intrusions in 2021 where suspected Russian threat actors exploited supply chain relationships between technology companies and their customers. Some Mandiant senior vice president and CTO Charles Carmichael said via email, while the Solarwinds supply chain attack involved malicious code inserted in legitimate software, most of this recent intrusion activity has involved leveraging stolen identities and the networks of technology, solutions, services, and reseller companies in North America and Europe to ultimately access the environments of organizations that are targeted by the Russian government. Since May, Microsoft has observed Nobelium attacking more than 140 resellers and technology service providers, it said, with about 14 of them succumbing to compromise. However, in its write-up issued Sunday, the software giant didn't say how many downstream customers have been affected. Mandiant's Carmichael only said that the firm has seen successful intrusions into on-premises and cloud victim environments. This attack path makes it very difficult for victim organizations to discover they were compromised and investigate the actions taken by the threat actor, Carmichael said. Investigating these intrusions requires collaboration and information sharing across multiple victim organizations, which is challenging due to privacy concerns and organizational sensitivities. The approach is also particularly effective for Nobelium because it allows the cyber attackers to avoid dealing with what could be strong defense measures at the end user targets, he added.
Yikes and away! 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 Yikes and away!
It shifts the initial intrusion away from the ultimate targets, which in some situations are organizations with more mature cyber defenses, to smaller technology partners with less mature cyber defenses. If successful, an attack could allow for data theft, reconnaissance, compromise of customer systems, and ransomware, and blah, 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 blah. Nobelium ultimately hopes to piggyback on any direct access that resellers may have to their customers' IT systems, according to Microsoft. This recent activity is another indicator that Russia is trying to gain long-term systematic access to a variety of points in the technology supply chain and establish a mechanism for surveilling, now or in the future, targets of interest to the Russian government. To that point, Microsoft also said that this particular campaign is merely a subset of a larger wave of Nobelium activities, which points to significantly ramped up efforts by Russia to establish a persistent anchor for its spy activities. For instance, in September, it was seen installing the Foggy Web custom backdoor on single sign-in servers. Now, if you recall, I did an episode on Foggy Web in the past. The link is above and pinned in the comment section below in case you want to learn more about that or haven't seen that episode. Between July 1st and October 19th this year, we informed 609 customers that they had been attacked 22,868 times by Nobelium, with a success rate in the low single digits, according to this write-up. By comparison, prior to July 1st, we had notified customers about attacks from all nation-state actors 20,500 times over the past 3 years. So, from July 1st to October 19th, you've got 22,868 times in that short time span. Before that, within a span of 3 years, and all nation-state attackers, not just one, all nation-state attackers, they only had 20,500 reports. Famously, the Solarwinds attack caused widespread damage and allowed Nobelium to gain access to several U.S. government agencies by hijacking a legitimate software update from the platform to push malware to SolarWinds users. While the reseller campaign is of a smaller scale, Jamil Jaffer, former Associate White House Counsel to President George W. Bush and a Senior Vice President for IronNet Cybersecurity, noted that it highlights the need for the government to do more to thwart Russian hacking. This showcases the need to take more aggressive action to impose costs in order to deter such activity by Russia, he told ThreatPost via email. It also highlights the need for the U.S. government to expand its defensive collaboration with the U.S. private sector. It's clear that the previously imposed sanctions for both hacking activity as well as Russia's support of ransomware attacks have not adequately deterred Russian cyber activity against the U.S. private sector. Probably not how he sounds, but whatever. He added that the Biden administration has put in place a top-notch team of cyber experts who could make some changes. They must be freed up to work more effectively and collaboratively with the private sector to create a true collective defense capability where industry and government work together to stop such attacks, including through the new Joint Cyber Defense Collaborative established by the new director of CISA and DHS, Jen Easterly, he noted. For now, the intrusion activity is ongoing, and both Microsoft and Mandiant said they're actively working with affected organizations. To protect themselves, resellers and service providers can take several basic steps to implement specific security protections for their environments, researchers noted, such as restricting access to partner portals and other customer relationship management tools, and enabling multi-factor authentication. They should also audit any delegated privileged accounts and remove unnecessary authority clearances, and if possible, adopt a zero-trust security ideology. IT supply chain companies must act now to avoid becoming the next SolarWinds, said Danny Lopez, CEO of Glasswall, via email. To prevent these attackers from gaining privileged access and wreaking havoc, organizations need to adopt robust processes for onboarding and offboarding employees and affiliates that may receive access to key information systems. It's vital to control privileged access and monitor those that enjoy that administrative privilege, he added. This will help to limit the blast radius and in most cases defeat the data breach. So, what can we learn? In addition to the recommendations outlined in the last few paragraphs, this story highlights for me the importance of understanding the threat vectors for your company. Many people look at themselves and their companies as like a bubble. I'm doing everything right, so we're safe. But as we can see, if you have partners or are in some way affiliated with a reseller that maybe they have access to your IT infrastructure or systems, then they can be the weakest link, no matter how big or small they are. Incorporating zero trust policies is, of course, the best action, but it's not always possible. So we need to ensure that within the contracts with partners, we incorporate the requirements for cybersecurity, as well as regular checkups and reports from those partners as to their continued compliance with the security protocols we expect. We need to take that seriously, we need to review it, and we need to make sure it's incorporated within those contracts. So partners, they all mean well, but if they don't necessarily have the same level of cybersecurity that we expect, then they can through them, an attacker can infiltrate our infrastructure. So with that, I say thanks for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and smash the bell if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Don't forget to ride!